The Spanish Conquistadors. We're going to start off with a little vocabulary. So a conquistador is just a Spanish conqueror. So these were soldiers or warriors that wanted to conquer other lands for Spain to grow their empire. An ally is a friend who will help. So some of the Native Americans had to become allies with other Native American tribes to help fight back the conquistadors. Conquest is the capture or taking of something by force. That's what these conquistadors were doing. They were trying to pretty much capture as many natives and take as much land as they could, and they used force, meaning they used weapons, horses, dogs, whatever they could to take advantage of the Native Americans. Convert. So that's to change from one religion to another. Many of the conquistadors, their goal was to convert Native Americans into Christianity. They thought the Native Americans didn't have a religious belief or they disagreed with them, so they wanted to convert them to Christianity. The impact of Christopher Columbus. So news of the New World that Columbus had discovered definitely motivated Spain to send more men to colonize and conquer the Americas, meaning they wanted more land, more riches, more resources, and to spread their Christianity. So those Spaniards were called conquistadors because they wanted to conquer the natives. And here are some of the Spanish motivations. As we discussed earlier, very similar to the three R's or the three G's. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand wanted three things. Here we go. Riches, right? This could be anything from gold, food, spices. And then they wanted, of course, more land to grow their empire, to make Spain larger. And then more Christians, Catholics. They wanted to convert. The Spaniards thought that the natives were savages because of the way they dressed and their beliefs. If you see the picture here, they show the natives wearing little to nothing, and they didn't think that was very civilized. Spaniards forced natives to convert to Christianity. Here you can see a priest, looks like he's baptizing a Native American, converting him to Christianity. Conquistadors. So we're going to discuss some of the most famous conquistadors. We're going to start off with Ponce de Leon. So in 1513, Ponce de Leon wanted to claim land for Spain and become the first European to step on land that would become the U.S., so present-day United States. He was the first really explorer to set foot on what is today United States. Unlike Columbus, he actually made it to the mainland. He landed in Florida and gave it the name La Florida, which means flowery, because it was Easter and everything was in bloom. So it was really gorgeous, pretty flowers everywhere, vegetation blooming. And then a little later in 1521, the Calusa tribe decided to defend themselves against the Spanish, and De Leon was actually killed with a poisonous arrow from one of the natives. So his Florida settlement was called St. Augustine, and it's still a city in Florida. In fact, it's the oldest European settlement in the Americas. You can see it's up here on the northeast coast of Florida. They still have some of the actual forts that were built to protect ships that were taking gold back to Spain. And here we'll talk about Vasco Núñez de Balboa. So in 1501, Balboa helped claim more land to Spain and Panama. So this is further south down in Central America. And you can see up here some of the Caribbean islands that were claimed by Columbus for Spain. And down here is Panama and Central America. Balboa is best known for being the first European to see the Pacific. He actually landed here, and him and his crew walked or hiked, took a journey, and ended up over here and saw the Pacific Ocean. and knew that it was a different body of water. And he was the first European to actually see it. And then Magellan was the first to eventually sail across it. So Balboa proved Amerigo Vespucci was right about the Americas being a fourth land, meaning this was a new land mass. This was not Asia. This was something completely new. And now the conquistador Hernan Cortez. So in 1504, he heard of Columbus's expeditions to the New World. He wanted new land and riches for Spain. So he's best known for conquering the Aztecs and claiming Mexico on behalf of Spain. This was very impressive because the Aztec Empire was enormous. Not only that, very gorgeous city, huge pyramids, um, sprawling out millions and millions of Aztecs who were known to be very strong and powerful warriors as well. Cortez took Montezuma hostage, and his soldiers raided the city. So Moctezuma was the chief, the leader of the Aztecs at this time, and Cortez actually more or less kidnapped him, took him as hostage, threatened to kill him if the rest of the Aztecs didn't bring a certain amount of gold. Here's a look at the city I was talking about, how gorgeous these are. Just huge, sprawling out, huge pyramids. These are places of worship, places of temple, places to gather. And now Francisco Pizarro. So Francisco Pizarro wanted riches, land, and to spread Catholicism for Spain. And of course, get riches for himself, right? These are the major motivations for all these conquistadors. Now, he's best known for his killing of the Inca king, Atahualpa, and conquering the Inca Empire. So the Inca Empire was another enormous Native American empire in South America. Huge, strong numbers, lots of soldiers and warriors. He actually moved the capital of Peru from Cusco. So if you see over here on the map, Cusco is a little more inland, and he moved it to Lima so that his ships could reach the capital more easily. See, it's on the coast, so it would just make it a lot easier for Spanish ships to arrive over here, and then they would have to march the hundreds of miles inland. So the capital of Peru is still to date there. It's still in Lima, Peru. And Hernando de Soto. Hernando de Soto heard rumors of this huge treasure and riches in Florida. He wanted to get some for himself in Spain, as well as claim land and spread Christianity like all these other conquistadors. During his route, he stole a bunch of food, valuables, killed many natives. This obviously really hurt the relationships between Europeans and the Native Americans. And there's a picture of his route. He actually traveled a vast amount of space in southeast United States and even Mexico. Ooh, Francisco Coronado. One of the coolest stories is he'd always heard these rumors of this city or 7 cities that were made of gold, and he went to search for this treasure. Uh, there have been stories about him or about this city for centuries, and they had heard like everything was made of gold, the streets of gold, people sat on gold chairs and had tables made of gold. So he took 300 Spanish soldiers and more than 1,000 enslaved Native Americans with him to search. So he had a huge expedition crew that went to look for these cities of gold. Now he never found the gold, but he did claim the American Southwest for Spain, and these new lands, including Mexico and Florida, were now called New Spain. So you can see his route. Coronado even part of his crew saw the Grand Canyon and then claimed this area for Spain, now calling it New Spain. The outcomes for the Native Americans definitely were very negative for the most part. They were forced to convert to Christianity. They didn't necessarily have a choice because they would either be enslaved or killed. They lost most of their land, all their natural resources, A lot of their culture was taken away from them because they were forced to live the life of the Spanish. They were enslaved and forced to mine for gold, so they had to look for gold, work long, terrible hours, didn't get enough food or water, so they were very malnourished. A lot of them, millions, died of European diseases, especially smallpox. It killed millions and millions within the first couple of years of contact with Europeans, with the Spanish. And of course, millions died in war. A lot of these battles took place when the conquistadors came over. The conquistadors had way better technology when it comes to warfare. They had metals, they had horses, they had dogs, so they were armored. Um, they were just very well prepared. And sometimes, in some cases, the Native Americans benefited from trade. They did get horses, they did get some of their metals, but overall, it was pretty much a negative interaction between the two sides. And just to finish up, to show you guys how the architectural is very similar. So if you look at Mexico City today, right? So here's Mexico and Spain today. So very similar, and a lot of the Spanish culture obviously is now found in Mexico and in Central and South America. Hope you guys enjoyed.